Amelia pressed her face close to the window and saw the elegant Paloma Sans walking with Javier. The woman had a graceful figure, and the pale yellow gown she wore accentuated her sleek silhouette. The breeze gently played with the light fabric of her dress, making her look like an actual goddess. She was struck by what an elegant, well-matched pair they made. Perfect, even. Paloma's hair even blows flawlessly in the wind. Her beauty is so effortless, like a model. No, hotter, like a K-pop star. But queenly. Amelia sighed. It wasn't until now that she really understood how out of Javier's league she was. Paloma is a whole other caliber of woman, bred to exude grace in everything she does. I bet she even burps with grace. While Amelia was lost in her Paloma daze, she didn't notice the woman of the hour had spotted her in the window and was staring right at her. Caught, Amelia immediately dropped to the floor in an attempt to get out of sight. However, she quickly realized that the tall window made her entire self visible to anyone looking up. So she pretended she had bent down to pick up something on the ground, and then offered the folks outside an embarrassed wave. Amelia was mortified when she then saw Paloma point right at her and ask Javier, "Who is that, Your Highness?" To make everything about as bad as it could get, she was in nothing but a bath towel. Amelia immediately felt guilt and panic. Had she messed up Javier's date before it even started? Sure, it made her sad to think of him getting married and kicking her out so he could start his own real family, but that didn't mean she wanted to screw this up for him. He had provided a great life for Max, so she wanted to be a team player and support Javier's wishes. Meanwhile, out on the front lawn, Paloma studied Javier's face, wondering if the beautiful, scantily clad woman she saw in the window was the prince's mistress. But Javier was giving her nothing. He seemed as unbothered as a man could be. "That woman? I don't recognize her. She must be a visiting family member of one of the staff," he said, unaltered. "I find employees work better when they have their loved ones near. So, I allow all our live-in employees to have guests." Paloma gave a soft smile. "Wow, if you rule your country with as much compassion as you run your home, the people of Spain have an exceptional king to look forward to." Upstairs, Amelia quickly rang for a maid. A nervous maid rushed in. "Miss Amelia, you shouldn't have let yourself be seen at the window. Miss Sands is asking a lot of questions." "Believe me, I know I messed up," Amelia replied, even more frantic. The maid shut the door behind her. "You were in a towel. Paloma is bound to get the wrong idea about you," she continued. Amelia took the maid by the hand to reassure her. "Don't worry, I have a plan. We're going to give Miss Sands a very clear-cut and non-threatening impression of who I am." Downstairs, the prince and the potential princess were seemingly enjoying each other's company. "What a coincidence," Javier told Paloma, his tone warm and inviting. "I can't believe you went to Duchess College after I did. I didn't realize you were following in my footsteps," Javier said with a wink. Paloma gave a coy but radiant smile. "We actually overlapped by 1 year. I used to see you in the library, looking so studious. But I didn't dare approach the crown prince." Javier chuckled, then gave her a cheeky smirk. "What a shame for you. I would have been very approachable." She raised an amused eyebrow. "Sure, as long as I managed to get past your royal security team without getting tackled," she teased. Javier leaned back with a rueful grin. You're not wrong. My first kiss happened under the watchful eyes of 3 very large, armed guards standing just a few yards away," he lamented. Poor girl, she said playfully. She probably didn't see that fairy tale moment coming. Isabella Alvarez de Toledo, Javier added, smirking at the memory. It was far from magical for her. Still laughing, Paloma reached out and rested her hand lightly on top of his. Their shared amusement created a spark of intimacy, one that didn't go unnoticed by a brand new maid balancing a tray near the entrance. The maid loudly bumped into a side table, and Javier's eyes widened in shock when he caught sight of this maid. Amelia? At least she had Amelia's face, but she was confusingly wearing a staff uniform. What on earth was this woman doing? A few minutes earlier, Victor had a very similar reaction. He had nearly dropped the tray he was arranging in the kitchen when he spotted Amelia. Or so he thought. Miss Amelia, you're not supposed to leave your room, he scolded without turning fully. When he finally glanced her way, he saw a maid wearing Amelia's clothes. Seconds later, the real Amelia entered, now dressed in a maid's uniform. Hey, Victor, she greeted casually as if her attire was completely normal. Victor blinked, his jaw practically on the floor. What are you doing, Mr. Rivera? This, she replied, gesturing to the uniform, is my plan to erase any doubts Miss Sans may have about who I am. If I'm just a maid, she'll forget all about me and my window incident. The butler, Mr. Grant, watched her with a raised brow but decided to support the charade. He quickly handed Amelia a tray loaded with coffee, juice, cups, crabs, and hammers. Victor, he said with a confident nod, this might just work. Miss Sans will assume she's a staff member and think no more of it. Amelia carried the tray into the reception hall with cautious steps, her fingers gripping it tightly as she tried to keep it balanced. From her position, she overheard Javier and Paloma chatting effortlessly. Isabella Alvarez del Toledo. It was far from magical for her, Javier was saying. Paloma laughed, placing her hand lightly on Javier's. Amelia felt a pang in her chest as she watched the sight. Javier is actually capable of being sweet and charming, she thought, surprised at the contrast between his warmth toward Paloma and the cold rudeness he usually showed her. She scolded herself for comparing herself to Paloma. Their relationship was none of her business. Lost in her thoughts, she nearly dropped the tray when she bumped into the corner of a side table. The stumble caught Javier's attention. His eyes locked on her, and recognition flashed across his face. Amelia? He muttered under his breath, puzzled. Amelia quickly steadied the tray and placed it on the table, avoiding eye contact. Paloma looked up curiously. Wait a moment. Aren't you the woman I saw in the window earlier? Javier, it appears you haven't learned all the faces on your staff. And what a pretty face this one is. Amelia froze, unsure of how to respond. This is embarrassing, he said smoothly. I guess I haven't been at this residence long enough to remember all the names and faces yet. I apologize to both of you. Amelia nodded quickly. Not a problem, Your Highness. Paloma wasn't entirely convinced. Well, this seems like the perfect opportunity to finally put a name to the pretty face, she said, turning to Amelia. Amelia darted a glance at Javier, wondering if she should give her real name or not. Tired of juggling so many lies, she concluded it would be best if she didn't add another one to the mix. I'm Amelia, Miss Sans. Paloma's smile was polite, but hard to read. Nice to meet you, Amelia. I hope to see more of you in the future. Amelia curtsied, ready to retreat. But Paloma gently grabbed her arm. "Before you go, Amelia, would you mind shelling these crabs? I'm terrible at it, but I absolutely love eating them." Not liking this idea, Javier coolly intercepted. Allow me to get one of the butlers for you. They're better suited for it." But Paloma insisted. "Nonsense! When it comes to shelling crabs, a woman's touch is best. Don't you agree, Amelia?" Amelia managed a tight smile. Mm-hmm. She could feel Javier's soul cursing her as she picked up the foreign tools. Panic surged through her. How the hell do you shell a crab? Will anyone notice if I sneak off and watch a YouTube tutorial? Swallowing her nerves, Amelia gripped the small hammer tightly. "You got this, Amelia. How hard could it be?" She tried to steady her shaking hands. Meanwhile, Javier dove back into his conversation with Paloma to take the spotlight off of Amelia. "So, did you have math with Mrs. Borja?" he asked, his tone light and conversational. It worked. Paloma's face lit up with recognition. Of course. She's been there forever. My father learned multiplication from her." Off to the side, Amelia stared at the dead crustacean before her with a mix of determination and trepidation. Taking a deep breath, she lifted the tiny hammer with her trembling hand. And finally, struck it. But she didn't expect the thing to be slippery. Her hand slid hard over the crab's sharp edge, and it sliced her finger. Ah! Amelia bit her lip to keep from crying out, but the movement caught Javier's sharp eyes. "Amelia," he said, his sharp voice cutting through the room, "is there a problem?" His stern tone made Amelia freeze. She cradled her bleeding hand and felt her cheeks flush with humiliation. She misread Javier's concern for anger and thought he was annoyed that she interrupted their date chatter. But Javier's expression softened as soon as he noticed the blood welling on her finger. Paloma, on the other hand, noticed the way Javier's gaze lingered on Amelia's hand. Her irritation bubbled beneath her calm exterior. Why did he care so much about a tiny cut on a maid's hand? Just who is this woman? Javier rose and crouched beside Amelia, his face unreadable. He held out his hand. "Let me see." "It's nothing, Your Highness," Amelia muttered, trying to hide her hand. "I didn't mean to interrupt your conversation." "Amelia, hand," Javier commanded firmly. She obliged and placed her hand in his as he gently inspected the cut. Paloma's eyes narrowed slightly. "Amelia?" she thought. "He said her name twice now." Javier's fingers were warm against Amelia's skin. As he examined her injury, her heart betrayed her, fluttering over the unexpected tenderness. "This needs to be cleaned. Excuse yourself and have it treated. That's an order," he declared with an authority that neither Amelia nor Paloma dared challenge. Amelia avoided Paloma's piercing gaze as she stood and left the room, her heart racing. Paloma, however, wasn't about to let the moment go unnoticed. Her smile remained polite, but her eyes were cold as they followed Amelia's retreat. Interesting, Paloma thought to herself. Why would the prince give a mere maid such special attention? I better keep my eyes on this one.
To find out what happens next, download the Pocket FM app in the next minute to get free access to all episodes of The Royal Accident for free.